Hello again, traders, and welcome back to the Hot Stocks Outlook for March 14th, 2025. I hope you all have had an excellent week out there in the financial markets. And as always, we're here to take a look at the most recent VantagePoint AI predictive forecast. So if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and click on that link down in the description below. And you can get signed up for a live demonstration so you can learn all the specifics about how these predictive technologies are helping traders make better trading decisions out in the marketplace. Now, as we typically start out, we tend to take a look at the S&P 500 via the SPY ETF. And something we always gravitate towards is that year-to-date number. And we can see very quickly over the past few weeks that has skewed to the bearish side, now down almost 6%. And the last 30 days have certainly seen really a rout of equities very broadly. And so this is what we've been highlighting by looking at IWM, looking at meta shares moving into that downtrend, and really identifying that there's broad-based weakness across the equity space. And so I thought it might be a good opportunity to revisit IWM here, go through how all these predictive indicators work, but also just update over the past week. Well, what have we seen here? And so regardless of what markets you're trading, all of this will work the same. So what we're looking at here with IWM is daily price action, and each one of the candles there is going to represent a full and complete trading day. And so it's right up against that price data that the first thing that will jump out is that black line and also a blue line value. And so what that black line that you see on the chart is a simple moving average. So a very common technical analysis indicator. And what VantagePoint users use this for is essentially a baseline, right? It lets us know where market prices have been because all that data is coming from the past, right? So it smooths out that data, reconfigures things, but again, is always lagging behind what's already occurred in the market. And so what VantagePoint traders are able to do is compare that lagging moving average of price to this proprietary predicted moving average. And for this number to get calculated and plotted on the chart every evening, well, this is where the technology of artificial neural networks come into play, and they're performing what we would call intermarket analysis to forecast future prices. And so most people understand that artificial intelligence needs a whole lot of data, right, to make intelligent decisions or predictions. And so what is the data set that's being used? Well, it's really dozens of markets that are known to drive and influence the future price of the Russell. And so this can be things like ETFs like the SPY or DIA or the Qs, but it can also look at individual stocks that share very important market relationships, potentially to specifically that ETF you might be trading. And it also takes this global approach. It's able to look at things like interest rates, the value of currencies, which again, we've seen gold, dollar, euro really make some huge moves, and that affects the broader stock market and certainly in individual indices. And it's even able to look at things like global commodities when relevant, whether it's gold, silver, copper, lean hogs, whatever is relevant to that specific market you're trading, it's going to incorporate that data into the forecast to produce a reliable prediction. And so whenever VantagePoint traders see that blue line cross below the black line, well, it's suggesting that these prices are going to start moving lower, and traders can come in with their strategies and express, whether they want to short by put options or however way they want to, really navigate the opportunity there. And so as far as that predicted moving average, that's what's helping traders get involved early on the trend and recognizing these very important market shifts, because we don't just have tools like this on IWM, but we have it on really hundreds of individual stocks that can be scanned. And this really acts in concert, that when you run these scans and do a lot of these processes every night, we see the VantagePoint indicators skewing these predictive tools to the bearish side in this case, and warning of a lot of this impending weakness. So you see about a 12.5% move in just the past 23 trading days. And as we move forward through these charts, what you're going to notice is that there's also this bar at the bottom of the screen that you see goes from green to red back to green. And this indicator is also utilizing those artificial neural networks, but they're tuned to solve a different problem, right? Not looking at overall trend direction with our predicted moving average. This is just anticipating short-term strength or weakness over a 48-hour period, or you can think of just a couple of candles at a time. And so every day that gets updated, and it has an extremely high level of accuracy associated with specifically that tool on predicting that short-term strength or weakness in the market. And so you see here that we'll get these periods where the neural index goes bullish, and you see subsequent price strength, especially in relation to how strong this downtrend has been. But once that neural index skews in the direction of the overall trend, we often see momentum pick up. So here you see the day you flick up to a bullish configuration, but immediately back bearish and the overall trend continuing down. Now, lastly, and as we do after every single week, is also look at these predicted high and predicted low levels. So before each and every trading day, VantagePoint is giving you an expectation of the next day's trading range. So you've got an intraday price prediction, also utilizing those artificial neural networks to pick out that high and low. You've got our 48-hour neural index at the bottom, and of course, combining that with the overall trend prediction from the VantagePoint predicted moving average. And we can get a sense of how accurate all of these predictions are. So I come back to IWM because this is where we started last week. Well, what have the last 4 trading days highlighted? Short up at these predicted highs. Again, if you short on a day like that, you have a limit order, gets filled at the open, and immediately trading lower towards yesterday's predicted low, or for the week, might take a nice little profit. We're also understanding that maybe that's where some opportunities to short individual equities are going to come up, right? When we see these indices up towards their highs, that's the point where we'd want to take a position before we start seeing this broad-based market weakness. See about a 2.4% decline just in the past couple of trading days from those levels. Now, with all that information on how you interpret these forecasts and how to utilize these tools, well, we can use this on any market we want to trade. So here we see SHAK. This is in a really strong market, trending up really well. Well, what has been the most recent forecast, though? We see from every single one of the VantagePoint indicators here, the predicted moving average has moved to the downside. The neural index has never moved up to a bullish configuration, so it's been correct every single day here as you see prices go lower and lower. And then we can, of course, look at that predicted high and predicted low. And so if you're doing any trading here in SHAK over the past few weeks, all the VantagePoint tools are saying is, look, SHAK here is in a downtrend, broader markets in the downtrend via these indices. And if you want to short and really make profit in the short term, it seems like all you could do is short and then look to cover those positions. Well, these are the areas where you want to be looking. Now, you're not guaranteed to get up to that price level every day, but you see within a few days, you're likely to move up towards that predicted level. And this is because what VantagePoint does is every day it's adapting. So when we get this big move where we move outside the anticipated range, look at the predicted range sliding lower before each and every trading day, warning you that, yeah, we're expecting this price action to keep going lower, keep going lower, keep going lower within this downtrend. So really nice opportunity here, potentially on the bearish side here in SHAK, but just another indication as we use tools like the VantagePoint IntelliScan that there is a lot of weakness spread throughout the market. We can also utilize VantagePoint's tools just to see, hey, across all the markets, the S&P 500, how many markets are in an uptrend via in a downtrend. We can get a very solid view on how broadly we're seeing strength or weakness throughout the equity markets, really any markets, whether it's the gold market currently or currencies. Here's American Express, another good example of blue line crossing below the black line and a very large cap, very strong stock here. But what are we seeing? The overall trend is bearish. That happened all the way back over a month ago in February. And of course, there will be these periods within a downtrend that the market recovers, right, and consolidates to the bullish side. But when traders are prepared for that, well, they're ahead of the move and understand, hey, I can actually use this weakness to actually set short positions within the downtrend. And of course, you might want to look towards those daily predicted high and predicted low levels that are provided, again, every single trading day before the trading day occurs. So as we look at American Express here, of course, you want to look up towards these predicted highs to short, take profits on shorts. You see this strength from the neural index, again, getting that pop in the market. But again, those intraday predicted highs are levels where you'd want to short within the downtrend, not go long and expect consistent strength. So even here, this is pretty impressive. After that trading day, look at your predicted high and low ranges are both skewing lower here, indicating that, look, short term is expected to go lower. The trend is lower. Sure, there's been a little bit of strength here, but now things are skewing back to the bearish side. And even just this week, move up towards the predicted high, hits the next day's predicted low, and a better place to be a little heavier on the position, right? Short when we move up there and, cover the position as we're down towards the intraday predicted low level. So again, you're just seeing a lot of different sectors throughout the marketplace performing poorly. Here, shares off about 19% in shares of American Express, just 23 trading days. Here's Starbucks. This is a market that we looked at actually on the way up, right? And so we were highlighting that, look, there's been a lot of weakness spread out throughout the market. This has been one area where there's been more strength, right? So if you want to, have some longs in the portfolio, what we see with Starbucks here, we get all these moves down towards these predicted lows. And for several weeks, you're getting some really nice trading as the market continues to trend higher, trend higher, trend higher. Again, whether you're doing shorter term, longer term trading. And again, we know that weakness is in the market, right? So we understand that like there's broad-based weakness. These things may start to shift, but how can VantagePoint help us with that shift? Well, we see again, we get this day coming out of the range, predicted high and low ranges skewing very lower, much lower, neural index bearish. And let's take a look at this as the market shifts, from the crossovers. So where that trend got started to the upside until the forecast to the downside, there's about a 24% push. But if you're following these forecasts, well, if that's how things work on the way up, well, we can just reverse all that logic on the way down. And so as we get that blue line crossing below the black line, neural index bearish, well, what do we want to do if we're trading Starbucks? Well, short and take profits on shorts would be the most straightforward way to interpret the VantagePoint forecast. And we see after this week, we got to move up towards this predicted high. Within the last week, you're already down another 10% from those predicted highs after that crossover. And in reality, we had the crossover here. So if you're taking profit on your longs, you're getting out of the market there. If you're just trading the market long or short, well, that's where things shift and you can short up at these predicted highs. Even just this past week, looking at Starbucks here, you got this move up here on Tuesday. And so since that move on Tuesday towards the predicted high, clearly in a downtrend, that trades up 6.6%. As shares continue to go lower. So really impressive stuff from the forecasting tools and ability here from the VantagePoint indicators. Now, here I want to go over to Newmont Mining because over the past couple months here, we've talked a lot about metals. And we don't look at the futures and commodity markets because this is a hot stocks outlook. But we're focusing in on gold, copper, platinum to an extent here. Well, here's Newmont Mining, right? Some of these mining companies. And so we got this little dip, in gold prices recently. But we start to see from the VantagePoint forecast, we're actually getting this blue line cross above the black line in shares of Newmont. We get a little neural index weakness here. So we get a little sideways action for a couple of trading days. But once that momentum comes into the market, and now we see gold doing well once again here. So as we look towards these predicted highs and lows, you again have these levels that say, look, you're in an uptrend. You get that snap lower, but the overall trend is still bullish. And here you see shares up about 6%. Really just since Monday. So that move lower on Monday, and we've seen the price of gold and shares here rally higher. But again, this being one of the few markets where you can actually say, hey, that predicted moving average is above the actual moving average. And we see the strength in some of these broader metal markets. Lastly here, we'll shift back to Doordash. And again, very just matching the broader market here. And just being alerted to, again, with the help of VantagePoint's and Telescan features of how all these indicators are skewing. So whether you're looking for those crossovers, you can set short-term indications, looking for that neural index to go bearish, looking for your trading range to go lower. And that's how traders can utilize these forecasts. But here in Doordash, you again see very straightforward. Neural index gets bullish here. You get that sideways price action, but this is clearly in a downtrend and traders would only look to short, take profits on shorts. And we see those intraday levels working exceptionally well. Even here just yesterday, strength from the neural index, you get a little gap up towards a predicted high, but again, suffering from that weakness as the markets are quite weak here. And so what'll happen is we'll start to see markets shift. And what'll occur is as we run our scans via the VantagePoint and Telescan, well, we're going to start to see our predicted moving averages move above the actual moving average. We'll have these predicted neural indexes skew to the bullish side. Your predicted ranges will start going higher. And we'll identify, hey, we're the strongest markets based on these forecasts to trade strength. But currently, everything's skewing to the bearish side. That's really the point of these predictive indicators and these predictive forecasting is to help traders get ahead of these moves and adapt as the market shifts and adapt as it always does. So once again, this has been our Hot Stocks Outlook for March 14th, 2025. Thank you all for watching. Best of luck out there, and bye for now.